Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus here again. I'm here this time because I have some wonderful information that I'd like to share with you that I have received from the spiritual realm. And it might be beneficial to you as well. And since you are so important to the creator of life, here I am, that I am. Have you ever seen a movie? I'd like for you to think about this for a second. A movie where there is a villain, a guy that immediately gets on your nerve. You know, in the picture, he's gonna be doing a whole lot of things that will just piss you off. And he's in a particular environment, let's say inside of a building, and all of a sudden, when he walks outside of the door, something happens to him. In other words, what he was planning to do to someone else immediately happens to him. And you know what a relief that gives you, a satisfaction you get knowing that somebody has gotten perhaps what they deserve? Well, this is basically what I see when it comes down to you, the American people. You see, what you have done to me, as far as I can see, is that you have put the wolves in the chicken yard with the chickens. And you did all of this. Businessmen. The bottom line for business is profit for themselves, perhaps their shareholders, but never, not you. This is why when you look at certain businessmen, you find that they are billionaires or trillionaires or super wealthy. And yes, there are some returns that go to those who have shares, but most of you don't have shares. And you get nothing out of that. So we're talking about the American people now. You have set these wolves in the chicken yard. And what they plan to do is to do what they have always done. Take. But not just from America, but from the world. You've put them on the world stage with the power of the United States government backing their every action. And you, the people, will not benefit at all. Initially, you will think you are, because you will see things being done that you have not seen being done. And it will kind of excite you in the beginning. But as it gets a chance to marinate, then you will see. But I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that it is legitimate. This is exactly what the American people deserve. Now, I know you take issue with that, but I say this because the American people are as immoral as they can be. They hate. Can you remember the boy who went into the church and killed 9 people and said that he felt that something had to be done because black people was getting away with too much and they need to be put in their place, or something to this effect? And to him, they had no worth, they had no value. I believe he even made this in his statement. And this happens all over the place. And it continues to happen. And the power of hate that drew people from the crevice of the streets, who had been hiding there thinking that they have been left out, and building up within them as much hate as they could possibly build up on whomever they blamed for their predicament. And they rose up, not even thinking, but just have something different. Who gives a heck? There's something different. Can't be any worse than it has always been, they concluded. but they will see. And what about the fake Christians? The people who are supposed to honor God? Where were they in this moment of trial? Did they stand up for what was right? Did they stand up and represent God in some form or fashion? Did they? Did you, Christian community within America? I don't think so. In fact, I think that many of them, not all of them, but many of them went to the polls and voted for their choice of evil. Can you imagine somebody representing God the Father Almighty of love and all the wonderful things that you can even imagine? And these people have no trust, no faith in God, no ability to do anything but to turn to evil and say, you are my choice. Wow. That's something else. Well, let me tell you, I'm going to share something with you, and it's just something that I want to share. I don't know if it's going to have any value whatsoever to you, but I want to share it with you because it might. You know, when I speak about God and the human race, I think about God creating the human race to be perfect, given choice and the possibilities of not being perfect that's going to exist. Will it always exist? I don't know. But I do know there are consequences, there are benefits for your choices. So what I did, based upon my understanding of the almighty love that God has for individuals shown to me, and I say this because all of you out there who owe your life to God, all of you out there who would have been gone had not a miracle occurred in your life, you owe your life to God. You don't have to give it to it, but you owe your life to God. You were chosen. You were chosen to do for God. How do you know you were chosen? How many other people have been in the same predicament that you found yourself in? They didn't come out of it, but you did. You think you were lucky? No, you weren't lucky. You were blessed. You were chosen to do a work. Now, there are people who have never seen anything like that. They've never experienced anything like that. Their whole perception of God is based upon what they have heard somebody say, what somebody wrote. And this is why they can take themselves over there and vote for evil, because what they heard and what somebody wrote and said doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean a thing to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going there voting for evil. They are there voting for evil because what they understand about God isn't strong enough to prevent that from happening. And why? Why is that? That is because they have no pictures. They have no examples. Many of them today were not alive when Martin Luther King, that great symbol of love for God, was martyred. They weren't around when that happened, so they haven't had any experience associated with people who stand up for God. As far as they know, people stand up for God, go to church on Sunday, meet, even if something grandiose is going on, they'll get together. You think they're going to confront situations and deal with situations. They come to have a meeting, and that meeting involves somebody coming and preaching, bringing a mess and taking up some money and going home. Now you got Bible studies and choirs and all that other kind of stuff. That's all to them. But anything deeper than that, they don't know anything about that. Because those who have been chosen are neglecting God. And if they who have been chosen neglect God, then what about these who just hear it and reading? So this is now the hour for those of you who know God to rise up, to be used. There is no moment like this moment right here today when you have what has been symbolized in the consciousness, at least of America, a blue-eyed white guy with blonde hair, or something looking blonde, rich, flying around in a jet, exhibiting power in the eyes of people who see this, or whether it's on television, or whether it's on the phones, or whatever. It's just mesmerizing them. And they are thinking that this, what you might just call it the Great White Hope, is going to deliver them. Well, this is the great opportunity for you who know God to glorify God by allowing God to live in you. What I did to get a good picture of this, based upon my own understanding of God, in my mind I created my earth. I created what this earth does. I recreated that in my mind. My earth does the same thing. I created people like people here on this earth, but the difference is that the people in my earth are people who love peace. They believe in justice. They treat people like they want to be treated. And they are prosperous because they don't compete against one another. They work together. They cooperate together. And any competitive stuff that might be done, the whole intent is not to prove that one is better than the other, but utilize it so the whole can profit. And so we look at this, ladies and gentlemen, and I see this beautiful earth that I have created, but no different than that which we've heard about heaven, just like what I just described. But even there, some force decided against the order of things in lieu of something that was perceived as better. And I'm looking at this occurring in my earth that I've created in my mind. And there it is, just like it happened in heaven. There it is happening in my earth, where people are wonderful. They love life. They go to bed excited at night knowing that tomorrow is going to be great. Get up the next day excited because they know by the time sun comes around it's going to be a beautiful life. Everything is good. It's all that. In my world that I've created. And here comes that force. So what do I do? What do I do to protect the people? People who perhaps got choice, but they've used their choice in the past to maintain what is real to them. And no time in the past have this approach been made at them. But now it is. What do I do? What do I do? I created this. They didn't create it. I created it. What do I do? Do I allow that one to marinate within the population? Exercise all of that they do? Or would I exile him, take him out, and put him someplace else? Put him someplace else. Someplace else like the earth, an outcasting post for people who don't fit in righteousness, who have turned their back on what's good. Put them right here, where all of this stuff take place, and they have choice. We have choice. In this place, same place where I outcast those who are trying to spoil the bushes of apples over there in my world. Send them over out of there to protect the people from there. because these people have made a choice. This is what they want. They didn't change their mind. They want this. So I separate that and put it over here. So I'm saying perhaps this is what the earth is, an outcast point, where we have all been put here because where we were, we failed to maintain what was required to stay there. Or maybe this is just something that's a step up. I don't know. But we're here and we got choice. We have choice for a purpose. What else can that purpose be for it but to either do something fantastic, something that's good, or something that's very, very bad? That's the choice. Something that's very, very good or something that's very, very bad. So, some people say it doesn't have to be very, 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 very. It can just be good or bad. But we got the choice to the extreme. So I'm saying, here we are on this earth. If you want to come back to my earth that I created in my mind, you got to come back because you want to come back. And how do I know that you want to come back? By how you operate right here in the midst of this place where outcast people just like you, people who got their own stuff, people who got their own way, think their own way is the best way, and hell with everybody else and what they are about. It's all about my, me, I. And you're in the midst of all of this. You're just like that. This is why you're here. But for some strange way, you decide that you're fed up. Maybe you look around and you see that your systems that you've accepted in the world are not working. Maybe you see that Republicans and all their ideas doesn't work only for some. That the Democrats and all their ideas only work for some. That white men's ideas only work for some. That black men's ideas only work for some. That women's ideas, because there are a lot of women, though they didn't get in the White House, they got the spots. But their ideas only work for some. So what we find is, what do we do? And see, some people, not everybody, but some people, especially the ones who have seen the hand of God in their own lives in such a way that no one else could have possibly. And so that is settled for them to allow that same spirit that worked for them at that particular moment to indwell themselves fully in their bodies. That spirit be in them now that is in God. That is God. And stand up for God. For the God of love, for the God of everybody. And when you do that, you are marked. Because just like you were cast out to come here because you weren't fit to be there, now you will be cast out here because in here, the reign and power is not good. It's selfishness. That's the reign and power. Now if the reigning power was being good and doing things right, if that had been the reigning power, then you don't have to get killed because you're welcome. And because you are, the things that you do teaches others. It glorifies God. It draws other strange spirits to God to be cleansed. Now I'm talking about some stuff that you might not understand. But I'm saying this because that is what happens. Now, in the world that we live in now, they are going to come against you with one thing in mind, and that's to get rid of you if they can't change you. If they can't change you, they can't control your mind, control your actions, you are out of your space. And they are telling you this, and you got to go. Now, what makes them so mad? Because when you change your mind, you start seeing all of the, say for instance, this guy, Donald Trump, wants to be the Secretary of State, who has association with so many people around the world when it comes down to oil. Well, as far as God is concerned, We know all of that has to do with business, exploitation and profits and all that kind of stuff. But the message that God says is that none of that is real. This is legit in man's mind, but it's illegit, immoral for those purposes because it belongs to all of the people on the face of the earth. It belongs to all of the people on the face of the earth. And oil should, well, the mechanism has been set up to assure that people all over the earth can have access to oil as they need it. This is God's way. All over the earth, people should have access to oil as they need it. And this is the responsibility of human beings on the earth who have been given a role to play in the manifestation of such as this. That people, and this as it is in oil, the same as it is in food, as it is in healthcare, as it is in education, God has set it up so that people all over the earth can benefit from it. So that God and we the people can all benefit from it. Not that we play these games, play these stupid games by somebody who want to claim that they are this and that, and people who don't really want to be controlled but are controlled because they don't know anything else. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, there are those of you out there who owe yourself to God. You owe yourself to God. Rise up. I'm not talking to those people out there who call themselves Christian. I'm not talking about those people out there whose only relationship with God is some book that they've read something in and putting in whatever their spirit tells them. I'm not talking about people out there who are listening to what somebody else is saying. I'm not talking about people who are spending their money asking for a prayer cloth being sent to them. I'm not talking about those people who are sending money to pimp preachers out there talking about planting seeds of God. I'm not talking about those people. Those people are as blind as they can possibly be. And they are the ones who are voting for evil. I'm talking about people who have no doubt. Stand up for God. I'm telling you to stand up for God. You don't have to do it. This must be your choice. But for God's purpose, I tell you, stand up for God. Yes, this is a dumping space. And when you stand up for God, what benefit will it get you? Well, if you came from my earth that I created, and you stand up for something like that to the point that this messing pot don't want to have anything to do with you and kick you out, you can come on back home. You can bet your last money you can come on back home. So I'm seeing that as a message from the Holy Father that put us all in here, in this mess. Put us all here in this mess. For us to have choice, to work it out individually, and prove it by working it out interactively. In other words, understand life yourself, and then step out with others. Become a mirror, dealing with situations of life, not necessarily walking out there trying to tell somebody they're wrong or nothing like this, not necessarily, but stepping out, facing the same situations of life that they have to face with a new breath of fresh air. In other words, you're not doing what the norm is. You are doing what the Father, the new Spirit, is showing you is necessary to be done in order to do the things that God wants done. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Now, when you can do that, the evidence that you really, really love God is that you go do that. You go do that. And when you do that, you gonna make these crooks mad. You gonna make these crooks mad. And the positive effect that you're doing that is going to have on those that they have under mind control right now, gonna cause them to want to get you out of the way. And if they thinking about killing you, don't you get upset. For those, I'm talking to those who No, I don't have to tell you get upset. Don't get upset because you won't. You know that God can deliver you from any and everything. And if we have to close our eyes on this side because we glorified our Father in such a fantastic way, I can promise you, ladies and gentlemen, in my world, in my earth, you wake up in the twinkling of an eye, and it's like moving from a nightmare to your best paradise you dream you ever had. So that's just me, and I know that ain't nothing compared to what God got. So I'm giving you what I've been given, and you can use it if you can. Until then, next, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people, even the ones that mess over us, even those who turn their back on God. It's just something that I feel God is all about, getting those who are lost. Bye-bye.